we're going to talk about some things that American people just don't get about Irish people. Here on YouTube, sometimes one can be inclined to self-censor with an American audience because there are certain Americans who take offense.
Oh, I am offended!
To really silly things.
Oh, we're pinning that one purely on the Americans now? Seems to me everybody gets offended by everything these days. Oh, look, this nail offends me.
And I'm just going to say that's a you problem, so I'm not going to self-censor today. I'm going to give it to you straight. I like it when people tell me the truth, so I'm going to assume that you do too. The ways of Irish people are very specific, just as they are in any region or any place in the world. Irish people have been friends and allies to American people forever, so let's try and get along, and I'm going to teach you a few things today that you might not know about Irish people. Before I get into the video, do be sure to subscribe, otherwise you're going to get a paper cut right here, and that's the worst place to get a paper cut. That would be awful. Oh, and like the video too if you're already subscribed, because that helps me, because people aren't seeing my videos, because the algorithm hates me now. Okay, the first thing that you need to understand about Irish people is that yes, we are very, very friendly people, but friendly does not equal friends. I would say American people, for the most part, that I've encountered are very, very friendly, and they're instant friends with you if you strike up a conversation. Generally speaking. Of course, there are some strange people out there, but we won't talk about them. In Ireland, if you happen to strike up a conversation with somebody and they're friendly, don't make the mistake of thinking that you're friends. For example, they might offer you something. An Irish person will basically invite you to sleep in their house that night. That doesn't mean they actually want you to take it. They're just being friendly. Now, this does not infer that Irish people are unkind or insincere. It's just our way of being polite. Sure, if you take up the offerings of staying in their house, they'll let you stay there probably, but it's gonna be a little awkward. Don't make the mistake of thinking that because an Irish person is friendly to you, that it means that they genuinely like you, because that's gonna bring me on to the next point. Teasing does not mean we hate you. If you're a frequent watcher of this channel, you'll know that we call teasing slagging here. Yeah, I know, haha, ha ha ha. Because slag means something else in other parts of the world. If an Irish person slags you, it's actually more likely that they like you than if they're really, really polite and kind to you. I know, this is confusing. It's not to say that Irish people aren't kind to people that they like, but just if you've just met a new person and they start slagging you after maybe half an hour or something, it probably means they like you and they're just testing out the waters of could you be pals? It's a good thing. Also, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you'll know that I advise American people to not try and counter the slagging with more slagging. Just laugh. Or agree with the slagging. Tease yourself. That's a sign of a jovial person. Don't, and I repeat, don't get Americanly competitive. Slagging is not a competition. Americans tend to be a little competitive, which I'm just about to get to. Sometimes you guys just take it a little bit too far. Just leave it to the Irish side to do the slagging. So yes, next point, we are not competitive. We just mostly want to have fun. I'll give you a really good example of this. The Irish rowers who won the Olympics. Of course, they put in hours and hours of training, hard work, all that kind of thing. But mostly, when you watch an interview with them, they just wanted to have the crack.
I mean, you know, you've just been asking us questions and we'd have been answering them.
Irish people are not driven by competitiveness, and that's why we love the Eurovision so much. It's just a bit of fun. And the funny thing about us having fun makes other people have fun. That is the top of our priority list. So if you end up playing snooker with Irish people, prioritise fun, don't prioritise winning, and you'll be on board, we'll all have a good time. Next up, I've touched upon the fact that if an Irish person offers you a bed for the night, well, depends on the situation, I guess. They don't necessarily intend for you to take that bed. Now, just to confuse the situation even more, sometimes offering you something means that they do want you to take it, but you are not to accept it upon the first offerings. In Ireland, we have something we like to call, well, nobody calls it this, it just exists, the offerings decline ritual. I've definitely touched on this one before using Mrs. Doyle and Father Ted as a reference, and it's a good one. A good way of knowing if the offerings is sincere is how many times they offer it to you. If somebody offers you to sleep on their couch for the night, once and then you say no thank you, they probably didn't really want you to stay there. However, if they're very, very insistent upon it, after maybe the third offerance of that thing, you can accept. It's quite funny when it's something that you actually want to do too. So for example, if I was going around to my friend's house and their mom said, do you want to stay for dinner, Diane? I would have to say no, no, no a couple of times before I said, sure I will, I'm starving. I know, it doesn't make sense. It's just a charming little thing that we do. I think it's charming. You might call it confusing. Next up, and I can't emphasize this enough, there are no seasons in Ireland. Every time I go into the comments, somebody asks me when I think the best time to come to Ireland might be. And I always say, hard to say. Okay, say I suggest coming in July, summer, right? Okay, there's a good chance it might be sunny, but there's also a possibility that it might be raining, hailstoning, sleet, snow, wind. Who can say? It's Ireland. I could invite you to come at Christmas time, and you know what? There's a possibility that the sun might be blitzing out of the heavens just because it's Ireland. Chances in your favour are that it probably will be cold, but there's no way I'm going to give you that advice knowing that it might be the complete opposite of what you're expecting. Next up, you must understand begrudgery, flexing, and notions. Those are three big Irish things. Okay, first up, flexing. Flexing is very much an American thing. It's showing that you can afford things. You have a lavish lifestyle, you have a really cool thing, showing off a little bit. But in America, it might be applauded. In Ireland, people will say you have notions. Don't do it. Notions are a sense of entitlement, of feeling like you're above everybody else, of feeling like you have more than. Notions are the worst thing that you could possibly have, and this is because of begrudgery. Begrudgery is a very uniquely Irish thing. In Ireland, even your best friend will begrudge you for having something nice. Yes, on a level, I'll be happy for somebody else, but there is just this little thing in the back of my head that goes, well, I deserve that. Why did they get it?
Why do bad things always happen to mediocre people?
Begrudgery. It's a cultural, genetic trait. It is similar to jealousy, but it is just in us to begrudge you. So don't go flexing or showing off your notions or everybody will begrudge you. This next one, and I've said this one so many times, and on a level, people seem to get it in the comments. Like mostly the people who watch the channel a lot get it, but sometimes people come in and they're new and they don't watch a lot of stuff about Ireland and they don't know this, and it's being Irish. If you are in Ireland and you are from America, you're born in America, raised in America, or spent a significant time of your childhood there, you are American, even if your mom and dad are Irish. The only way an Irish person will call you Irish is if you were born in Ireland or raised in Ireland. Now, I don't make these rules. People get mad at me when I talk about this. I appreciate in America, people might go up to you and ask, what are you? And you'll say Irish, because your parents are Irish, but you were born in America and raised in America. It might be okay to say that in America, but anywhere outside of America, you're an American. If you were born in America, raised in America, you're an American. Or an Irish American, that's also acceptable. You can say you're an Irish American. And the reason I'm putting so much emphasis on this is because you will not, I'm trying to help you, you will not be appreciated if you come to Ireland and say that you're Irish if you're from America. It genuinely doesn't bother me personally that much. I'm telling you because people will just, they won't like it here if you come here and say you're Irish when you're from America. You can say you're Irish American, that's okay, we'll accept that one. Don't hate me, I'm trying to help you. Next up, Irish people are very informed about global news and they probably know more about your country in a non-biased way than you do. Here's the thing, Ireland's tiny, most of the world doesn't really care about us. We get all sides of the news, we get CNN, we get Fox, we get it all. We see all sides of it. I see a lot of times people in comments telling me, oh, the news that we get over in Ireland is not correct, it's biased. But to be fair, we actually get it all. It's not filtered in Ireland. Now on that note, yes, of course, our news channels have their own biases and stuff like that, but generally speaking, we have access to all of the information. It's not one source. So I guess that's a cool thing. But yeah, we know a lot about other countries, so don't worry. We know you're not all the same. The next thing is banter is not the same as being chatty, and this one is the hardest one for me to define because I've talked about banter before. I can't sum it up. Irish banter is trial and error, and if you come over, try it, go for it, just do it. Americans are the best chatters ever, but chatting is not banter. I'm going to give you guys a really good example. So the other day my dad was in a shop in Spain. He picked up a phone on the counter and left thinking that it was his phone. When he got to the car, he realised his phone was there and he had the shop owner's phone in his hand. So he went back in and apologised and they had a little giggle about it. And that was chatting. They had a laugh. However, when he went back in 2 days later and said, "Hello, I'm the man who stole your phone," the shop owner just looked at him like, okay. What my dad was trying to do was have banter, but it didn't fly in Spain. In Ireland, the two would definitely exchange giggles and that would be their thing, that would be their banter that they always have. Banter. I'm not saying it doesn't exist in other parts of the world, it does, but in Ireland it's just so a thing that everybody does and it is an art form, so try it out, it's good fun. And the number one thing that Americans get wrong about Ireland is that they think it's cheap. It's not. It's really not. Ireland is really expensive. The GDP per capita is huge. I think there's this idea of Ireland as reflected in films of it being really quaint, people lived in thatched cottages, all that kind of thing. They run around with sheep and it's very olden days. Yeah, there are places in Ireland that have that, but mostly it's very modern and very expensive. As it stands in 2021, Ireland is the 13th most expensive place in the world to live. A huge part of that is that it comes down to lack of resources. We're a tiny island. We have to import a lot of stuff and therefore it is higher in value, making stuff more expensive. However, where you go in Ireland, things might cost different prices as well. So for example, in the countryside in Ireland, you might be able to get a pint for €3. In Dublin, a pint could cost you €6 and up. I know, it's horrible, it's awful, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. Do come though, it's a lovely country. And that's it. I hope I've given you a few little ideas there of things that you might not have been aware of and helped you figure out what Ireland is actually like. We'd love you to come visit after all this stuff is over. Who do you want to say hello to today?
I want to say hi to the squad over on Patreon.
Yeah, you love the squad and you actually know their faces. We have a little hangout every month. They're really cool kids. Cool! Why are you so obsessed with cool this month, Chewy? He doesn't know. That's it for today. Bye. Tell me your dog is clingy without telling me your dog is clingy. People in the comments said that they missed my little D necklace, which is so funny. I got this in pennies. It was literally €2. You in your little spot, yeah? You love your little spot? Hi. I feel self-conscious with you sitting there. I don't think I can do the video like this. Go over there. Come.